Thank you so much for joining us today at 11 a.m. NLU session number 2 for Wednesday, talking about listings and sellers. First off, let's introduce our speaker with us today, Mr. Thomas the Promise Simmons, the man. So Thomas, we only got an hour, so I'm going to only hit a few of the things that I know about you because we only got an hour, and you got a long list of your resume here, brother. This guy is amazing. So served in the United States military for 8 years. He's a Desert Storm combat veteran. He is a mortgage loan officer, so been all through all different aspects of real estate. New home consultant with Lennar starting in 2009. He was a vice president of sales and marketing for Lennar. So again, he does not sit tight where he's at. He's always looking to get straight to the top. He joined C21 Beggins in 2014, became a Centurion agent within the first year, man. High five, brother. That is amazing. For those of you who don't know, Centurion agent is over $280,000 in commissions earned. That's amazing. And then shortly after that, Thomas, again, always wanting to go straight to the top, became a manager and partner with C21 Beggins, opening the Brandon office, our Brandon location in 2017. And it has just been crazy since then. You have taken your office to a whole nother level. You've went from just starting off to continually progressing every single year. Tell me a little bit about that. What's that drive? How do you do that? How do you keep that passion, and how do you keep that energy?
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate the kind words. It all just comes down to a why. Just like the same thing that we teach, we have to also practice on a day-to-day basis, and putting your goals in front of you and just keep pushing forward. I remember in 2015, I spoke with Craig Beggins at a Christmas party because I was with the South Tampa team, and I mentioned to him that I wanted to purchase a franchise at Century 21, and he mentioned about partnering with him, and then he gave me all the statistics of everything that needed to be done, and he pretty much said, this is it, this is what you need to do, go after it. So it was a true challenge, but anything in life that you truly want in life, there's going to be some obstacles and some high fences that you're going to have to climb, but ultimately it's about the reward in the end. So what drives me on a day-to-day basis is, one, setting my goals, pushing through those goals, and my why. And my why is basically, with my wife and my family, and having a lifestyle that I want to live and be able to give that freedom and flexibility, and have my dream come true.
I'll tell you what, man. There's plenty of people that feel exactly the same way I do. I know your whole entire office respects you and looks up to you, but I consider you a mentor. I look up to you. I love I admire, and I try to be like you in a lot of fashions. When I see things that you do, I try to emulate them, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel. Find somebody who's done it and do that, and try and do it just as good as they do, if not better. And I know I fall short every single time, because you set that bar really high, man, and I love being a part of a team with you.
Well, just to give yourself some kudos, Chris, you're doing an unbelievable job. I just remember us having, a little private conversations, and just to seeing you excel and just take ownership of what you're doing and your dream. I kudos to you. You're making it happen, man. And you know what? It's fun to watch, and just keep doing what you're doing. I'm very proud of you.
Appreciate that, brother. And for those of you who don't know or aren't engaged enough to see that and be a part of that, get more engaged. Reach out to your management team, reach out to us, reach out to Thomas and myself. We're always happy to share, always happy to help you grow, to try and provide value, to just be more for you. So without any further ado, so again, you're in great hands today with Mr. Thomas Simmons and all of the value and knowledge he provides here. So let's jump in and let's talk about, how do we influence sellers? So talking about influence, and how do we advise and build trust to influence potential sellers? That's what this game is about. It's not about getting a listing, because if you go at it from the perspective of trying to get a listing and trying to get their business, you're gonna lose every time. You're in the people and communications business. We've mentioned that over and over again. And until you truly take that concept in and say, I'm in the people and communications business, my job is to build relationships, build trust, and communicate with as many people as I can to become their trusted advisor, you're going to fall just that little bit short each time because you're not focusing on one of the most important connections that you can make, and that's with building the trust with the potential clients that you have. So when you're talking about building trust with these potential sellers, one of the really important parts to really focus on here is just knowing that a seller is going to sell when they're ready to sell. Nothing that you do is going to make them sell any faster. The fact that they like you, know you, and trust you is going to make them feel more comfortable in their decision, which could speed that process up. But nothing that you do is going to force them to sell or force them to sell faster. Everything that you do is going to build trust and connection with them. Your whole job and purpose is to communicate and connect with them to get put in a position where you're going to get in the way whenever that time comes. Because they're going to sell when they're going to sell. And you just have to get them to like you, know you, and trust you, and be that person that's there by their side, their trusted advisor. So when they are ready to sell, they say, hey, Thomas, I really appreciate everything you've done for me and all the information you provided. I think I'm ready to explore some options. When do you have some time to talk? You want to come over? So you want to come over tomorrow? Can you come over next week? What's your schedule like? I need some help.
Right. And Chris, when you say like you, know you, trust you, it just all comes down to the basic fundamentals that you guys have been talking about in every single session, right? It's all about building that trust and not going after the sale, the commission breath. I think that's going to be on the next slide. But at the end of the day, when someone likes you and they know you, it's easy, right? It's easy to have a conversation with them. There's no friction, right?
Let me ask you a question. I know you're married and you don't do blind dates, but if you were going to go on a date with somebody that you knew or a blind date, which one would you feel a little more comfortable with?
The one I knew.
Exactly. So when you're going into a situation as a blind date with somebody you don't know, you're going to be anxious, a little uneasy. You don't know. Now you have to start from scratch. But if you're going into it with somebody that you already know, you feel a little more comfortable. You already know what talking points you could have, what connection points you could have. You like them, you know them, you trust them a little bit more, so it's a little more comfortable. So those are important things, and you have to start using all of the tools that you have available here with your DISC, VAK, mirror and matching, rapport building, like we were talking about yesterday. This is where you get into research mode. When you're talking to them, connecting with them, using some of the platforms like social media and everything that we're going to talk about here shortly, using that to get to know them, to gather as much information as possible so that you are there by their side, not sitting across the table from them. Most times sellers go into the situation and they're already at odds. They already feel like they're going to battle with them. They already feel like they're sitting across the table from them. Something as simple as literally sitting next to them at the table, sitting side by side or sitting on the end and right next to them rather than across from them. Those little things will end up helping too. So building trust, using your DISC, identifying who they are, building these characteristics of this relationship that are going to flourish and help the relationship move faster so you can be that trusted advisor. So, and we all know this is definitely long-term play. These are not things that we're going out looking to try and nail this listing right away. This isn't, I'm going to talk to this person, they're going to list with me right away. You have to go into it with the concept of, I'm going to become a relationship expert. So it's all going to be a lot about follow-up. You're not going after the listing, you're going after the connection. So give them that respect of building that trust and connection with them.
100%, Chris. We as just humans, we want instant gratification, right? And you nailed it. This is a long-term game. So if you keep that in the back of your head and say, you know what, I want to get to know this person. I want to help them. I want to provide a service for them. And that is going to change your perspective. So just remember, you're just there to build a relationship with them.
And that leads right into this next point. And this is one of I've really adopted this saying, and I've been really telling myself this over and over and over and over again in every aspect of my life. You will be compensated in direct proportion to the amount of value you provide. If you go into it focusing on the money, and that's the only value that you provide is getting a commission check out of it, you're going to lose every time. Even if you get to commission check, you're going to lose because they're not going to trust you on the next transaction. They're not going to refer another person on the next transaction. They're not going to tell everybody about you for any other transaction. So go into it. I want to be the most valuable agent in their world. That is your purpose. If you ask yourself that question before you go through any prospecting routine or any appointment, how can I be the most valuable agent in their world today? What can I do to provide the most value? That's the kind of perspective you got to take on, because in the absence of that, you're going to end up with what Thomas mentioned as commission breath. You got to lose that commission breath, because they will smell it. And there's no pun intended there. They will be able to tell, and they will see that you don't have their best interests in mind. And they're going to feel that. They're going to feel that it's all about you. We talked yesterday, everything is energy, and you can feel those energies. And if you are not connected with them, that energy will definitely supersede, and they will see you as somebody who's just after a check, not there for their best interest.
Absolutely. And I also believe too, if you, just like you mentioned earlier, you have to think big. If you're thinking small, you're going to get small. If you think big, you're going to get big. And if you're building those relationships, you know, those referrals going to come, because that same person that you might be working with may not be ready now, but they might have a friend, family member that says, you know what, this guy, Chris, has been working with me. He's been helping me. And I know you just mentioned that you were looking to buy a home and just list a home or sell your home. You know, I'm going to give you his number. Give him a call, because he's a great guy. He's going to help you. That's thinking big.
What's the value of a consumer? What's the value of a past client to a real estate agent?
130 grand.
130 grand over the life, because they're going to buy, sell, refer, invest, tell everybody about you, put it on social media. We have plenty of agents that have built that kind of rapport and trust with their consumers, that they've done 7, 8, 9 deals from them. And they've done this on referral deals as well. Taken a referral that they've paid a hefty referral fee on, and then turned that into 2, 3, or 4 deals, maximized it. Looking at, again, think big. Don't think about the one transaction. Think about the 3, 4, 5 transactions down the road, because of the connections and trust you're going to build. So like same concept of thinking big. How do I become the most valuable agent in the neighborhood? How do I become the most valuable agent in their world? How do I become the most valuable person to them in the field of real estate? And you can start doing that by asking that one question of what's in it for them. Most of us come at it with that concept of what's in it for me. You know, what's in it for me? I'm going to get the listing. I'm going to get the commission. A simple way to try and just kind of change that perspective of the commission breath is ask that question. What's in it for them? What can I do for them? How can I be valuable to them? Just change those simple words around, and you'll start to have a different perspective, and your attitude and your actions will come out a little bit differently. In the same regard, that law of reciprocity says you must give something away before you get something. So I've been reading a lot, and every single thing says, whatever you have, give it all away. Whatever knowledge you have, give it all away.
Sharing it. Yes.
I mean, the secret to living is giving. If I give all of my expertise and all of my knowledge to these people, or these homeowners, these buyers, these sellers that are in these neighborhoods, and I give it away, I will be the most valuable person to them. And I will tell you that the majority of them do not want to sell their home on their own. Whatever information you give them, they will appreciate, they will love, they will cherish, they will come back to you for more, and they're going to use you. They will come back to you. And even if they do list the home on their own as like a for sale by owner, because you gave them so much information and knowledge, they're going to refer you to somebody else. Think big. Don't think one transaction. Think about what's going on down the road there. So niching down to a micro market, this is one way that you can become very valuable. Like I said, become the most valuable agent in the neighborhood. Getting down into a micro market and becoming a master of market trends. And I know you mentioned this, you were talking about this a lot in our conversations about, you know, just providing market trends and providing value. So I'll let you talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, sure. Actually, market trends. You want to become the expert in your community or in your area, in your farm. And how do you do that? Just listed, just sold, right? You're giving this information. You're also talking about the rates right now, what's going on. The HOA, what does the HOA, homeowners insurance, homeowners association, what does it include? Does it include the cables, the pool? When you become the expert, then you're able to, again, share that information with potential customers, be able to, when you're having a conversation with a seller or the owner, they already see that you're aware of what's going on in the community. So that builds confidence as well. So this way, they know that when that opportunity comes to sell their home, that they're going to know that you have their best interests in mind. So definitely just taking the time to learning the market, learning what's sold. It's not just what's sold and what's just listed, but how many days has it been on the market? What is the dollar per square footage? All of those things are very valuable.
Yeah, and drive through your neighborhoods too. So is it important to know that the home on the end of the street there has been vacant and is overgrown and is kind of an eyesore? If that seller drives by it every day and he's pissed off about seeing it and he makes a comment about it and you know nothing about it, you start to lose your validity as an agent or somebody who's a real estate expert. So just arm yourself with as much information and knowledge as you can. And you can start doing that by stalking your prospects. Now, don't anybody go get arrested. I'm not telling you to go out and get all crazy, but I'm telling you, there's so many resources at hand. Remind, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. There's so many different resources that you can use. You have public record, you have their information. So once you start communicating with somebody, pay them that respect of connecting with them. You're looking for points of commonality. And that's what really connects people, is those things and points of connection beforehand, that before you even get through the door, you have a little more confidence because you know you have a few things in common, even if you don't throw them out there. So I saw it on your Facebook, but if I know that you're involved with a sports team, or you coach a team, or you do certain charity events, or you're a previous Marine like Thomas is, and I go to your house and I see those pictures and I see those flags and I see military memorabilia, or I see pictures of softball, that's when I already know that it's there. I'm going to start looking for it in the house to try and call it out and connect with them while I'm there, so it doesn't seem like I was stalking them. Do it strategically, but there's plenty of ways that you can do that and actually stalk them. Any input on that, Thomas?
Yeah, just with the remind, I mean, going back to what you and Otis talked about previously, you can look at the equity in their home, right? You could look when they purchase a home, how much they have left. Those things are very, very key too, because obviously you're going to want to work with someone that has potential to sell versus someone that just purchased 3 months ago. You know what I mean? So those things are very, very key. And just like you said, even in Facebook, you can sometimes have mutual friends that you don't know about. So it's just different ways of commonality to just find some common ground. So absolutely.
Yep. So talking about who are you helping, we'll come right back to this one because I want to talk about how do you provide value and what can you give? What are things that you can provide value to them with, and how can you build this rapport and trust with them, and how do you become the most valuable agent to them? So Thomas, if you want, I'll let you kind of start off from there and just kind of expand on these points here and how these things will provide value to these sellers.
Well, I think that you yourself have been doing a great job with some of your agents at the office. I mean, you mentioned a young lady that's been with you for 90 days and she's got what, 2-3 listings just by passing out CMAs. Is that correct?
Yeah. We've done just like we talked about with the absentee owners and CMAs, just something as simple as having conversations with people, anybody that you've had a conversation with in the past, delivering a CMA to their door, just taking the time to put the extra effort in. So anybody in my pipeline or anybody in their pipeline, print a CMA out, go deliver it to them, go give them based on what their current equity position might be, give them a basic net sheet. If you sold your home for this, you'd make approximately this much money. They know what their mortgage balance is. Just give them some information like that. Something like that provides value. Somebody who is just on the fence, who all of a sudden comes up and needs $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and they see that they've got $50,000, $60,000 in equity, it might be something they might be willing to tap. Even if they don't sell their home with you, you're giving them an idea of what the value of their home is. It might put them in a better position.
Exactly, 100%. And, I guess do you need to sell? Have you explored all options? Taking the time, again, we're providing a service for them. Let's talk about the different options. We could talk about renovations. We could talk about refinancing. We could talk about if someone wants to do lease, you can look at a vacant land, right? Let's go back to your scenario where, you have that home at the corner that the grass is really high and the neighbors are complaining about it. that'd be a great way to opportunity to try to get in touch with that homeowner to find out what's going on with that land. Maybe that homeowner is, lives in New York. They haven't been away. They haven't been able to get down here because of COVID, right? And now the tenants have left, it's vacant. So this is a great time to just, hey, listen, by the way, I just drove by your home, and you know what? I just noticed that your grass is really high. Just, you may not know that. And that's just a great way to just start a conversation, because with doing that, they may just say, wow, you know what? I thought the landscaper was taking care of it, but obviously that didn't happen. So you just never know how you can just, make conversation with people.
Yeah, so here, really, really quick, I saw this really cool story. This lady posted a story about what happened to her at her house. She posted about how she found a mouse in her house. She posted that on Facebook. There's a mouse. I'm not sure who to call, who's the best person to call. She got a call because her phone number was on Facebook from a pest service provider that showed up at her door because she didn't answer, knocks on her door and says, hey, I'm here to take care of the mouse for you. She goes, I didn't schedule anything. He said, no, I saw your post and I just thought it was a great opportunity to introduce myself. I want to take care of it for you. He's like, well, how much is it going to cost? No charge. Let me set this up. I'll come back out in another day or so and get rid of it for you. And he just came out and he said, if you need any other services, we're always here to help. Let me know. How much time does that take? How much marketing dollars did he save by not blanketing a neighborhood, but actually hit one person who's now going to tell all the neighbors about this amazing service? Because then she told a story about it on Facebook. She went right on Facebook after that and copy and pasted some things about the communication and said, you have to call these people. He's amazing. So what if I call that homeowner who's on the corner, whose grass is really long, and I find a way to connect with them, and I say, hey, I noticed that your property at this address, it's getting to be, the grass is longer and it just looks a little disheveled. I'd love to send my landscaper by there to clean that up. Would you mind if I sent him by just to mow the lawn, to take care of that? Do that in your own neighborhood. How much is it going to cost you? Instead of spending $100 on marketing for something, spend $100 to have somebody go by and mow the lawn and provide a valuable service to them and start following up with them afterwards. There's so many different ways that you can build connections with them. And along the lines of, do you need to sell, and have you explored all options? Again, I am a real estate agent. I only get paid when I sell homes. And I'm going to be going to a seller telling them, hey, if you never have to sell your home, don't. It's one of the most valuable assets that you can ever have. It can give you cash flow for life. And even when the markets go down and crash, if you're able to keep that asset, that value will always come back, unlike a 401k or some other investment funds. Correct. If you never have to sell, don't. Let's explore all your options. Can you lease this property? Did you know? Why don't you talk to my lender? If you talk to my lender, he might tell you that you don't have to sell this home. If we can put a tenant in there that covers the mortgage and puts a little cash in your pocket, does it make more sense to do that than to sell the home? But if you are planning to sell, what are you planning to do with that money? Does it make sense to potentially do a refi on the property to pull cash out, but still put a tenant in there? Now you have the cash, now you have cash flow, and you're able to do the things you wanted to do anyway. Let's explore all of those options.
Also, that's a potential too. If they do a cash out and have enough cash out, they can also look into another investment home.
Yep.
So it's just, you know what I mean? It's just another opportunity to give them more cash flow, in the interim. So, I mean, it's still a win-win, and that's a win-win on both sides. But at the same time, we're telling them, save that particular asset. You know what? Go ahead and lease it out, do a cash out. You can go ahead and purchase something or do whatever else you want to do with the money. You know, people have choices, but at the end of the day, like you said, we're giving them options.
Yep. And that's where you hear Craig say it all the time. Awareness gives you flexibility gives you options, and options gives you power. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to empower our consumers, empower, educate, and encourage. And if we can do that along the way, that's where you're going to win. So social media, what are some things you can do on social media? What have you seen some of your agents do on social media to provide value to their neighborhood or into their neighborhood groups?
I'm sorry?
So what are some of the things you've seen some of your agents do on social media to provide value to homeowners, to neighborhood groups, to different things like that? Have you seen any of your agents really maximizing that social media avenue just to give away information to become more valuable?
Well, yes and no. I've seen a lot of people, I mean, as far as what Mike Puma puts out there, with social media, to get some engagement. I recently just had a agent put something together for to donate food and things of that nature. But as far as like, doing more like the garage sales, fundraising stuff, I haven't seen that. If they want to promote an open house, they would do something of that nature. But I think these are great ideas just to, put these things out there and say, yes, you know what, we're having a garage sale at this time at this address, come on by, and find something that you like, and work with it that way. But I think these are great ideas for if you want to continue to help service someone.
Yeah, so different things through through social media that you're doing. So you're promoting, in those neighborhood groups that you have, like, if you've got a Symphony Isles group, a Harbor Isles group, a Mira Bay group, you've got different things like that. If you have a homeowner who just moved in, create a post for them. Do, if they want to. Right now, it might not be the best idea with the pandemic, but do like a new neighbor social. So, or do a garage sale. So they're moving in, they're going to have things they're getting rid of. So move some stuff in, invite some neighbors over, do a little garage sale, do a simple barbecue. I've liked some ideas that one of our other agents did. He did investment workshops. So he would go into a bank-owned property that he had, and he did a investment workshop. Had a contractor come in, gave some information to people on what you could do to spruce up a property for a renovation loan or something like that. Just providing value to the people in that neighborhood, showing them that you're an active agent in there. Home care updates are other good things to do. Jessica Beggins does a lot of really, really good updates on social media to stay relevant to her sphere and to her sellers, just providing and giving away value. Again,
Just to add to that too, you just kind of rang the bell there for me up there. The Symphony Owls group, I know that they do a lot of stuff, like this week, we're going to have a Christmas party. Anything that's going on in the neighborhood, they have a Facebook page, particularly for all the residents, so they can keep them abreast of everything that's going on. So that's another key factor to some of you that may have a farm in your area, where you have a HOA, or you can create a Facebook page and create some excitement, some engagement, because who's the best people to that people that know you, like you, and trust you are people that live around you, right? So if you're engaging and you're creating that social network through your neighborhood, guess what's going to happen? They're going to see that. They're going to see what you do. They're going to start following you. And believe it or not, sooner or later, guess what? They're going to be calling you and say, hey, listen, you know what? I have a friend or family member that wants to buy a home. Or, you know what? Can you come over here and give me a free home evaluation and let me know what's going on? So again, it's just another way to connect.
Yeah, so now the next ones that are here are basically, if you have specific homeowners, specific people that you've been working with or kind of prospecting through, these are some opportunities to talk with them, offering them services for renovations or refinance, or leasing, like we talked about before. When you put yourself aside and you just provide that value, let's talk about what we can do to potentially lease your property. Let's talk about the refinance option. Or does it make sense for you to do a cash out refi? Does it make sense for you to renovate these things before you go to sell the home? Or contact me before you do any renovations, just to see if that value is really going to be there. If you're going to be in this home for 7 to 10 years, that's a great opportunity. But if you're not going to be there for another 2 or 3 years, you may not want to put that money in. Providing preferred contractor lists and things like that, landscaping, pressure washing, painters, windows, and then the last two, cash offers and title and mortgage connections. So these are great pieces of value that you should be able to provide to current homeowners, letting them know what you can do for them. And once you do get in front of them, here's some of the key things that you need to focus on. So we talk about connections with people, and to build the trust, a script and a sales call is really just a series of questions to get to a determined end result. And that determined end result you want is to have their business, to build that trust, to build that relationship with them. So it's just certain key things that you want to do. The reasons why we're asking them questions. Thomas, why don't you go ahead and talk about them?
Yeah, just before we get back here, I just want to go back to the last slide, if you would. I think that this is really important when we talk about landscape and pressure washer, painters, windows, cleaners. When you approach a property, I think it's very, very important that we understand how to approach a property. And one of the key factors is that you want to park across the street. And the reason why you want to park across the street is because you can actually look at the subject property and then look at the properties that's next to each other. on the right and left. This way you can be able to look at the landscape. And as you walk towards the home, you can look at the roof, you can look at and see the porch or the screen porch, and you can see if it needs pressure washing. You can look at the flower bed. All these things are important because remember, your eyes are going to be trained to look what's wrong with the home. Buyers or sellers are basically, they're looking at, all the beautiness or the things that they want into a home. So when you train your eyes to do that, you're going to be able to see the flaws in the home and be able to point those things out. And you do that on the buyer side, and you also do it on the seller side. So just want to let you guys know, make sure you're taking that walk around the home. When you walk into the home, looking at the ceiling, looking at the baseboard, see if there's any leaks, things of that nature, because then you can get those things corrected. And that's providing a service.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You can keep right on going into the question section.
Sure. So we talked about gathering information, right? As we know, everything is all about questions, right? The more that we ask questions, the more questions that we ask, the more we get to know about a person. We find out what their wants and needs are, right? Because when you're gathering information, that's helping you be able to give them the better service. If you're just talking all the time and not listening, therefore you won't really get to know that person, because at the very beginning of this segment, we talked about building trust and building a relationship. And that's the best way to build a relationship, is by saying, you know what, I have two ears and one mouth, so I'm here to listen. But you have to ask the questions. How long have you lived in the neighborhood, right? Pause. Don't say anything. Wait, listen, confirm. Yes. Oh, 10 years. Oh, okay, 10 years. Great. Why did you choose this area to live? It could be schools. It could be, mother and father down the street. We don't know, but we want to find out, because that way we can find some commonality. I mean, we can understand like what's going on, what's making their mind tick, right? If you were to move, where would you move to? How soon? That kind of gives us a deadline and find out, if that individual is motivated, unmotivated, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years out. It gives us a timeline, right? So those things are very, very important. And I'll leave this one with you, Chris.
Yes, I mean, when you're talking to them, some of the questions that you're asking, like if you already have somebody that you've been communicating with, letting them know, hey, I noticed your home's been vacant for quite some time. Like we were talking about that property before, we just talked about in the absentee owner type section, some of the questions that you're going to ask them. I'm just curious, are you interested in taking some cash out? Are you interested in doing a cash out refinance? Are we looking to get that property released and get a tenant in there? Tell me a little bit about your previous tenant. How did that work out for you? Tell me about your experience with that. Was that enjoyable? Was it not? And like Thomas said, ask the questions and then pause. Let them talk. Let them give you some information, and then repeat and affirm what they said. And then you can move on to your next question. Are you looking to sell? Are you looking to refinance? Are you looking to lease? Do you have any other properties in the area? So, I'm a real estate professional, and, my job is not all about buying and selling homes. My job is about becoming a trusted advisor for you. Do you have anything that you want me to look at? I'm in the area. I can drive by that other property for you. Tell me a little bit about the property that you have. How long have you owned that home? How has the investment been for you? Have you had any troubles during this pandemic? Asking these questions, letting them know, would you like me to send you some pictures of that property so you can see what the condition is like? I can do a walkthrough for you. Are you in state, out of state? You probably know that by now, but you can ask those questions, and those things are going to get you to that next level. The more that you can ask questions, the more they open up. I use that so much, even when we're in negotiations with a buyer's agent or a listing agent. I call the other agent and I just ask a couple questions. Sometimes it's one question and then it's other times I have to keep asking. And they finally realize that I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and they start telling me everything so that I don't have to ask another question, and they don't want to hear another question. So they'll tell me everything. Same thing with your sellers. Ask questions and let them expand, and then affirm and repeat what they said. Acknowledge that you heard it, understand it. That literally hits their brain and says, hey, he heard what I said, he listened. I feel like I could probably trust this person because he's understanding and listening to me.
Right. And what do people like to talk most about?
Themselves.
themselves. So, so these are great questions just to ask, you know, and they just start telling the whole story, and that's what you want, and that's how you're going to be able to relate. So yes, absolutely. You know what, too? I think also with the COVID-19 here, there's limited travel. So this is a great time to really go out there and look at some of these vacant lots and look at these properties and just connect.
I'll tell you some of the feedback that I've got from some of the agents that are out knocking on doors and actually talking to people. Yes, we're still knocking on doors during a pandemic. They're finding that people want to talk. The people that want to talk, talk. The people that don't answer the door. So you're not even getting the guy who's going to answer the door to scream at you, tell you, don't you know there's a pandemic going on? They just don't answer the door. But the people that want to talk do. And if you ask them the right questions and let them talk about themselves, they will go on and tell you all about their home, how they don't have enough room, how it'd be great to have a pool, how their kids are home from school and they're driving you crazy. I'm sure you could hear them in the background right now. I need a fenced yard for my dog since I'm here all the time now. It's not this, it's not that. They will go on about all of those things just by asking a few questions, and you'll start to understand and be able to repeat, affirm, and build some more trust with them by continuing asking them another question and then another question and then another question, and you'll have some great conversations with people.
100%.
So what we wanted to do is we wanted to talk a little tactical about providing value for some of these sellers that are here. And if you were talking in a geographical farm, a FSBO, an absentee owner, or someone who I'm just thinking of selling, or someone who's in your pipeline who might be thinking of selling, or with Remine if they have a high sales score, here's some different things that you can use to provide value to them, to try and get them to influence them a little bit more to use you as a trusted consultant. So one thing for like your geographical farm or a FSBO, like in your farm, if you find somebody who's a for sale by owner, we have a really cool tool that is the FSBO guide.
I actually have it if you like.
In the BE3 Agents website and app. This FSBO guide is also in Dotloop as well, so you can add the personal information of that property there. This literally gives them everything they need to sell their property on their own. But what does it also do? If I gave you, Thomas, if you knew nothing about real estate and I came to you and I gave you this package that's like 35, 40 pages long with a contract and a property disclosure and everything into it, how would you feel? What would that make you think?
I think it's called anxiety. Extreme anxiety.
And you start to see, wow, like I thought I was just going to do this and, maybe there is something to that. Or the other thought too is, holy, wow, he just gave me a guide for me to sell my property on my own. Everything that I need to sell my property on my own is inside of this guide here. It's step by step. What do I need to do? How do I do it? What should I do next? What's the next step? What do I need to look for? If that's not providing value and becoming the most valuable person to that for sale by owner, because you have to remember, what else are they getting? How many people are calling them a day?
Hundreds.
And how many of them are actual buyers?
Yeah, exactly. More realtors, less buyers.
So you got buyers calling these for sale by owners all the day. And what are they asking them? Are they asking them, hey, what can I do to help you sell your property faster? How can I put more money in your pocket? Are they asking them that? What are they saying to them? How's the script going? What are they asking them? Hey, I'm just curious. When do you plan on hiring the right agent for the job of selling your home?
Exactly. When can I interview for the job? Exactly.
So they're just trying to get the deal. If you come in with a different perspective, you have a much better opportunity of earning their trust and getting another conversation with them. If
Chris,
you drop that, go ahead.
I actually have the FSBO guide pulled up, so I just wanted to see if you wanted to just switch, just so we can share the screen real quick.
Right ahead.
Here we go. And I thought this was pretty powerful just for some of the agents that haven't seen this and see what it looks like. And basically, as Chris said, this is in our Dotloop and has a FSBO guide here and what it's here for, right? But it then has a checklist, right? You should be using this guide to help you get the price you need, help you with the complexities of the paperwork, help you to sell in the time frame you need, help you know what you should fix up and prepare. So this is literally telling them exactly what the exposure is, putting up a sign, and then it breaks it down. We know it seems obvious, yet 22% of FSBOs do this. Also, little inside secret, our number one source for buyers on our listings is from sign calls, right? Text it to a friend or family. So this also starts talking about all the marketing, right? The MLS, the social aspect of it, the price positioning of your home. This is stuff that they have no idea about. Search your competition. Who's going to do that? Right? They don't even know how to do comparables, right? Go see them. You think they're going to really go out on their time and on a weekend to go look at someone else's home, right? Time versus money. And this is what we're talking about. This is providing a service, but at the same time, it's saying, man, I didn't really realize this much work is involved, right? So we're not only helping them, but we're also at the same time, we're building value, which is key.
How many mechanics do you go to and you pull your car in there and you say, hey, I need this, I need my tires rotated and oil changed and tune up here and that. And they say, okay, well, here's a manual. Why don't you just go and do, you can probably save yourself about $500 or $1,500 doing it on your own. This will walk you through it. It's really easy. What other service, what other business is out there that somebody does that? And how valuable could that be to the right person? It's not going to be valuable to everybody, but it will be valuable to the people that it's valuable to. And somebody will find this information very valuable. You are just giving the secrets away. And if they sell their home on their own, good. That's great. I'm glad you did. And I hope that I was one of the reasons that was able to help you get there. I hope that the things that I provided and gave you were something that helped you position it properly, get the right price, walk through the contract, walk through the inspections, do those things beforehand to understand what needed to be done to get you that top dollar price. Because if I do that, I did my job as a real estate professional. I'm not just a salesperson, I'm a real estate professional. And these are all of the things that you do to provide value.
100%. And, I'm going to stop the share because obviously we're going to go into the other thing, but, talking about the paperwork, the contract, these are things that, the legalities of the sale that they need to know. But also keep in mind, this is not something that you're just going to hand to them. Say, hey, you know what? Here's this FSBO guide. Go ahead and read it. Whenever you can, because that's not going to happen. You want to sit down and you want to just go over some bullet points with them. So this way they can understand what's truly involved.
What's a better conversation? Hey, this is Chris Reed, Century 21. And I'm just going, I know you're trying to sell it on your own for a little while. I just want to make myself available when you are ready to hire the right agent for the job of you selling your home. So when's a good time for me to interview? Or, hey, I'm not calling about your listing. I'm sorry, I know you're getting a ton of phone calls and it's really frustrating and they're just trying to sell you on something. I'm not trying to do that. I've actually got a for sale by owner guide that's going to walk you through all the things you need to do to put as much money in your pocket as possible to make sure the home is in the best condition as possible. It'll probably answer a lot of questions, help you with your property's disclosure and making sure you handle all of the legality to it as well. Is that something that I could bring by and drop on your doorstep? Or better yet, how about I just drop it on your doorstep tonight? Give me a call tomorrow if you have any questions about it. Follow up with them tomorrow. I dropped that guide off on your doorstep and I just wanted to follow up and make sure, number one, that you got it. And number two, to see if you had any questions about that. When's a good time that I could come by? I'd love to give you some other consultative things that may help you get your property sold faster. Look, I want nothing out of it. My job is to provide value as a real estate professional. And that's what I'm really hoping I could do for you today.
Scenario number two.
Yep. Which one is going to get you in the door? Which one might earn a little more trust in this current market or in these current situations where they think they could do it on their own because homes are selling in 24 hours, 48 hours, 3 days of being on the market.
100%.
So that FSBO guide is so powerful. Offering along that same line with that FSBO guide, all of these things are probably just going to flow right into that. Hey, give them a free staging consultation. Yep. Anybody, whether it's if they're selling it on their own or they're looking to get an appraisal for their refinance, offer to give them a staging consultation. The appraiser who comes in the door, if he sees a nice home, is going to subconsciously see it as more valuable than the home that's absolutely trashed. So giving them and providing value. The free CMA and net sheet, those are simple things also listed in that FSBO guide that you can help them with a pricing analysis, with a net sheet. Offer to hold an open house for them. I'd love to hold an open house for you. I'm going to take some time out of my weekend. I'll be able to put it up on Zillow for you as long as, or you can put it up for yourself if you don't want me to have access to it. I'll put a social media ad out for it. We'll try and bring some buyers through the door. All I ask is if the buyer's not wanting to buy your home, that I have the opportunity to sell them something else. And I'd be happy to manage the paperwork and everything for you if they do decide to buy your home. So, providing value, provide the documents. The FSBO guide has has a contract and a property disclosure. Everything's there. It mentions all of those documents. Call them and ask them, hey, if they tell you, well, I'm getting an offer this weekend. Awesome. That's amazing. Wow. I can't believe that you're getting it sold that quickly. That is so cool. Do you have some time? I'd love to review that offer with you. How about I come by once you get that offer? Let me tell you about all the sticking points. Is it coming from an agent? Well, yeah. Well, you really need somebody to look at that. Why don't I come by and we take a look at it together? No, there's no charge. Let me just help. Let me provide some value. Let me work through that with you. Let's answer any questions you have. If you're going to go up against a professional, why wouldn't you have a professional at least look over the contract? You don't have to give it all away, but your job is to be a professional in this market. Help them review the contracts. If you get an offer, let's talk about it. Did you call the lender? No. Do you know if the buyer is pre-qualified? Did you see their proof of funds? Did you see any of those things? Ask them questions. Let them do those things, but give them the tips and tricks to do it.
Right. Provide a cash offer. I mean, we have Open Door, we have OfferPad, we have RealSure. These are opportunities that you can provide a cash offer to them. But again, I think that that's not the first thing that we want to do, right, Chris? This is something that, we want to build a relationship with them and say, you know what, hey, we might have someone that might want to put a cash offer in for you. Or if that's something that you're willing to take a look at. I'll help you again, go over the contract, look it over and make sure everything, all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yep.
Right. The home sales process, this all goes back to, what it takes to sell a home, right? Again, going right back to the FSBO guide, the title and mortgage, I mean, you mentioned about the mortgage. Have you talked to the lender? Has this person been pre-qual or has they been pre-approved, right? Do we know if they collected the documents? All this stuff that really matters before you get a contract signed. Title information. Do you know a title company that's going to, represent you? So all these things, again, just educating these individuals on how or providing that service for them. And it just goes back to what you said earlier, Chris, right? We have knowledge and we give it away, right? We're sharing it. In turn, we're thinking big. And that's all we got to remember. Just think big.
The first thing is you're trying to put yourself in a position to get in the way when they are ready to make that move, or when they are ready to refer somebody, or when they are ready to buy a home. Because that FSBO, that for sale by owner, is selling their home. Are they going to be homeless? No. They're going to rent something or buy something. And if they own a home now, more than likely they'll buy another one. So if they're selling their home and they're not going to be homeless and they have to buy another home, you have the ability to become their trusted advisor to buy the home with them and earn a commission on that side. Correct. They may not see the value in an agent paying them 3%, but when they aren't the one paying for it, they're more than happy to use your services. So maximize that energy and maximize that effort and put it in and become their buyer's agent as well. Offer the services, ask to interview for the job of being their buyer's agent, provide that value. In return for that opportunity, here's a for sale by owner guide. I'll review some contracts with you. I'm not your trusted advisor on the sale of your property. Please acknowledge that. You can have them sign a notice of non-representation. I don't represent you at all on that sale, but on the purchase of the sale, you will, or purchase of the property, you will. So other people that we talked about earlier, absentee owners on that first session. So if you're focusing on absentee owners, the different things that you'll do to provide value for them, all these touch points you're going to have over this quarter, I'll offer to give them a free consultation of the property. Age of their items, having a contractor come in there, basically come in and look, hey, if your property's vacant and you're looking to rent it out again, let me go take some pictures for you. Let me send you those pictures. Let me give you my advice on what I think would need to be changed to get it into maximum position to be rented or to be sold. We'll go through all of those things with you. Here's a home inspector, have him come in. Here's a home warranty company you can use to put a warranty on it if you don't want to have to deal with any repairs. Do a rental analysis. Are you charging enough rent? Are there plenty of people not charging enough rent?
Absolutely, there are. And because they don't know that the real estate, they don't know the rental market, right? So this goes right back to what we talked about earlier, the market trends, right? So we do that rental analysis, and now, you know what? It might be a $50, $100 more increase a monthly, you know, are they going to be very pleased with that? Absolutely. Right. Are they going to call you when they have other properties? More than likely. Right.
Yep. And can you give them a free rental analysis? Can you say, hey, based on the comparative market in that area for a rental, you should be able to get this, this, or this. You can go by and take some pictures of the property for them, but based on the condition, you're probably still stuck at that number. But if you did this, you'd get to here. Does that provide value? Absolutely. Would they consider using you? Hey, by the way, now that we got that one taken care of for you, would you like to purchase another property to put in another $500 a month cash flow in your pocket? I've got a couple options. I was talking to a few people the other day, and they're having trouble. They're not really investors. They just bought a home and they're just in a position. They're looking to sell. Is that something you'd be interested in? Put yourself in position. Giving away the free pricing analysis, free CMA. Give them one for a cash out versus a rent. Say, hey, here's your rental analysis. This is how much cash flow you're going to put in your pocket. This is how much you'll get at the end of the year. This is your rate of return for the investment that you have. This is how much cash you'd get out of it. If you took this cash and put it into this, or if you took that kind of cash and we're looking into a different area, you might get a better return. Or do you have a better option for that cash? If you had that much cash, what would you do with it? Where would you put it? How much income do you think you'd be able to get out of it?
Exactly. Again, options.
Yep. And then we also have your cash offer, absentee owners. We talked about that in the last session. I can get you a free cash offer. Let me tell you, I got a buyer that'll pay this much for your house. They'll close quickly. All they'll do is a simple inspection. We have multiple options for that. And again, eyes and ears on the ground. Not everybody has a property manager. They're silly if they don't, but not everybody does. And those are the ones that you want to talk to. Those are the ones that are probably having a little struggle. Those are the ones that right now need as much help as they can get. And the last people that you'll be talking to, I'm thinking of selling. These are kind of people in your pipeline, people that have reached out to you that they're not ready to sell now. They may not sell till next year, but this is where you need to start providing the value. Just because they called you and said they're thinking of selling, you don't have the job until the contract is signed. So what do you need to do? You need to continually bring more value to the table to reinstill that decision that they made to call you. Earn the business. Don't just earn that phone call that they called you. They did that because they knew you or they were referred to you. Now you need to earn their trust. And you'll do that by giving them, well, let's do a basic CMA right now. It looks like you should be in this range. I also got a cash offer. Maybe that'll make sense for you. Let's explore every option like we talked about. Where are you moving to? What do you need to get in there? Do you need the cash out of this one? Would it be in your best interest to potentially, maybe we refi, or maybe you put a tenant in here and get cash flow out of it. I noticed you bought the home this long ago. Start talking with them about those things. You're not trying to talk yourself out of a deal. You're trying to talk yourself into their tribe so that they like you, know you, and trust you and bring you more business from all of the tribe members that they have. I'm looking to expand my tribe from my sphere, and I want their sphere to become my sphere by becoming more valuable to them.
And again, I think that this is something that, when we talk about putting in your schedule, right? This is something like, you're going to remember, this is a long-term game, right? But it's a short-term game, when you're working with buyers and sellers as well. But please understand, if you put this in your repertoire or in your schedule, and you're touching base with these people on a week-to-week basis, you're building that relationship. And again, just like Chris says, when that opportunity comes and they come knocking on your door, you're going to be ready, because they're going to be willing, ready, and able, because you helped them through you built a relationship with them.
Absolutely. There's a couple Q&A here. Recently MLS announced licensed agents in Florida can no longer hold open houses on FSBOs. I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that either.
I'll look into that just to be certain. What is the cash offer? Who's providing it? So we got tons of opportunities. I know Thomas has personal connections and relations that will make a cash offer. We have a very heavily backed company called Home Partners that started a company called RealSure, that they provide cash offers to from Realogy, the company. They provide cash offers to real estate agents within the Realogy network. So C21 Coldwell Banker agents, they'll provide a cash offer. You can use Open Door, you can use OfferPad. I know OfferPad and Open Door are both paying real estate agents for referrals for bringing them somebody who they'll make a cash offer on. If you don't have one and you want to talk with one of us, we've got plenty of investors that will pay cash for any home and are always looking to expand their portfolio. So we've got lots of resources for that. And
can I get a copy of the FSBO guide? Yes.
so we have if you have access to our dot loop, if you're one of our agents, you have that in dot loop. If you go to FSBO guide in dot loop, search all documents. It should also be on the BE3 agents page. You should have access to be able to go to be3agents.com, and you should be able to get the FSBO guide. If you can search through that website, you'll find it there. Also, if you reach out to any of us directly, we'll be able to send it as a PDF to you. All right. Any other questions, Thomas? Any wrapping up thoughts that you wanted to put in before we break for lunch at noon?
I believe that, success at anything will always come down to this focus and effort. And you have control of this every single day. Focus and effort. These things that you're getting on a day-to-day basis, with this training is invaluable, guys. If you're not taking notes, start taking them, because this stuff will go a long way. And I tell you, if you focus and you do the things that we're asking you to do, the sky is the limit.
Absolutely. That's really what it's all about. Whenever you make a decision to do something and you become so intently focused on it that you create enough emotion and enough purpose and enough reason, and you have that energy, emotion, focus, and purpose there, and you made the decision, you're just going to go after it and you're just going to start building momentum. I mean, that's a perfect ending to this, Thomas. I really love that. So if there's no other questions or anything, we'll wrap up this session, guys. We coming back at 1 o'clock. Craig and Jeff are going to jump into the listing process. So join us back at 1 o'clock. We'll start talking about the Beggins listing process, the 6 Ps from start to finish, from when you have somebody says, I want to list my home till you get that property on the market. So join us back here at 1. If there's any other questions, comments, or concerns, Century 21 Accent Homes, Alexandria, my email. I'll just write that down. And
you write that down.
Yep, I'll take it down real quick. C21.LA Johnson at Gmail. Good. I'll send that over to you shortly after we wrap up here.
Awesome.
Thomas,
you, guys.
I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure doing business and working with you, sir.
Likewise, Chris. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. We'll see you shortly.
Yes, sir. Take care. Bye.